Hey everyone, it's Denise Brown from caringourway.com. Thanks for being here for a soul break. We connect for 30 minutes once a month. We have a theme that will help us with our soul. I think about our soul as being what we believe, how our faith shows up in our work. And I think sometimes it can feel like our soul is taking a hit because of what we experience during caregiving and just during our day. So today I thought we would look at a soul break from waiting. Now that seems like an odd thing to talk about waiting, except during our caregiving experience, think about how much you wait. So I'd love for you to share in the chat room if you're comfortable when the last experience was with a wait was for you. So you might be waiting for test results. You might wait for the home health aide or the visiting home nurse to come. You might be waiting in a doctor's office for the doctor. You might wait for the next shoe to drop. You might wait for feeling better about what's happening during caregiving. I think we feel like we're waiting. Okay, so let's think through our wait. So typically, who or what keeps you waiting? Who or what keeps you waiting? Sure, Kimmy, I'll share that link to our workbook at the end of our time today. So who or what keeps you waiting? You could also think through, when does it feel like I'm waiting for my life to get better or my day to get better? Who or what keeps you waiting? When are the waits particularly stressful? I think about going in for a test and waiting for the test results. That can be a difficult wait. I think about a caree having surgery. It can be difficult to wait through the surgery. Yeah, Ursula is sharing that doctors keep you waiting when you want results. Exactly. And you feel like you have to follow up to find the results. Caregiving oftentimes feels like this situation of waiting, but I also think there are simpler experience of waiting. So it could be that we're waiting for our caree. I think about sometimes as my dad declines, I find myself waiting for him more, waiting for him as he walks, because he walks slower. Sometimes it's waiting for him to catch up with what's happened, with what we're talking about. It can even be. Yeah, so Kimmy is sharing that it's waiting for services. Oh my gosh. Yeah, waiting for services. Oh, I connected with another family caregiver the other day who talked about being on a wait list. She's been on a wait list for services for her daughter for 7 years. We wait. Yeah. Okay. I had thought about the theme of waiting for our soul break last week. And then the universe, I always think, is so interesting because then it led me into conversations about waiting. So I talked to another family caregiver the other day, and she talked about waiting for results from her son's assessment. Would he need surgery? And she was trying to figure out, how do I manage this weight and the worries around a weight? So she went to see a therapist and she said, I'm so nervous and worried about what will happen next week when we get the results of the test. And the therapist, who didn't get it, said, well, what are the chances that he's really going to need surgery? And completely missed what this family caregiver needed, which was the strategy to manage the weight. So we have these weights, these empty periods of time that actually are full of worries and doubts and stress. How do we manage that? So I'm thinking through, how do we manage our weights? So some suggestions for you. Imagining what's happening as we wait. So years ago, oh, you could scream into a pillow too, Kimmy. Yes, absolutely. Years ago, I posted online, what is the doctor doing while we're waiting in the exam room for the doctor? Because I was thinking, what is the doctor doing? What's the delay? And someone said, taking care of others. And I thought, oh my gosh, of course, of course. So while I'm in an exam room now with my dad waiting for the doctor, it helps me to imagine that the doctor is delivering excellent service to another family caregiver and caree just like me and my dad. So that helps me with the wait. I imagine that good things are happening. So we could imagine what's happening, for instance, while we're waiting for a test result. We could imagine, for instance, healthcare professionals taking care of the specimen, examining it carefully to ensure that the diagnosis or the results are accurate. So imagining that people are taking care of this situation for us while we're waiting for the news, the results of the situation. It means that in our imagination, we're taking care of the stress and the worry. So for instance, that family caregiver that went to the therapist who needed really some suggestions and strategies around how do I manage this weight? I'm so worried about my son. Could imagine specialists coming together to talk through, how do we take care of this special little boy? How do we provide the best services for this special little boy? How do we ensure that this special little boy receives just the right treatment and care? So imagining that there are others who you cannot see and cannot know doing great work to ensure that you and your caree receive the best. We can imagine it. And that's how we can take care of our worries and our stresses and our doubts. You can imagine that there are forces outside of your control taking care of the situation. You can imagine that people want the best. And I think about sitting in a quiet space, which is why I picked this photo as a place to go to imagine. So if the doubts and the worries and the stresses feels overwhelmed, you could think of a space you could go to where you can just imagine that others who you cannot know, and that's okay, are working on your behalf to ensure that you and your caree receive the best. So imagine. Depending on what kind of, oh, I love a sun porch for your safe haven. That's awesome, Debbie. Depending on the wait, we could also think about how can I be creative during this wait? There are some waits when creativity is too difficult. So for instance, that anxiety around waiting for test results, I think that's when we want to imagine, receive that people are helping us and supporting us. But there are other kinds of waits where we can think through, I can create. So Kimmy sharing that crocheting is how you move through a wait. So when you're in the doctor's waiting room, you take out your yarn and two crocheting needles, and you start to create. That's a way to work through the wait where you feel like we're waiting and I'm productive. I'm using this wait time effectively, efficiently. with productivity. So when there's an opportunity for you to be creative during a wait, how do you take advantage of that? It could be that you journal. You write the next page in your book. You write down some ideas for a podcast that you start. You start to map out what your garden is going to look like in the spring. It could be that you research what you're going to plant in your garden this spring. What's the opportunity to create during a time of waiting? And again, it's a specific type of waiting that allows you to be creative. But when you have that wait, how can you create? Yeah, Debbie is sharing, that she loves to read a fictional novel or use time to work on a project. Yeah, it's shifting a little bit of the focus to be able to think through how can I be creative. And I also think we can be situational around how we're creative in waits. So there might be some waits where you think, okay, during this particular wait, as we sit in the exam room, I'm not worried, I'm not stressed, so I'm going to crochet. But when I'm in this other wait, and I know that creativity is helpful for me, what I'm going to create is something very different, and that's journaling, because that's part of how I manage my stress. I just write it out. So we can have different options for creativity depending on what the wait will be. And I also think we can think about what's the quiet time for my wait. What do I read? What do I watch? What do I observe? There might be times when you need a little bit of a break from a wait, where you take a walk. And the purpose of the walk is just to connect with nature. It's interesting that hospitals have created gardens now. I think that's really helpful. So if you're in a wait in a hospital, stepping outside, still being on the hospital campus, but sitting in a garden that the hospital has created can help with a wait. There's healing in nature, and when we connect to that healing force of nature, we feel better as we wait. So what's the solitude I can receive? Where can I go for solitude so that I clear my mind, so that I feel better during this wait? And it also can be just that change of scenery that can help as you wait. Yeah, Ursula is sharing that she reads something spiritual, devotion, quotes. Yeah, and I think it could be something that we've read before. So we don't have to worry about focusing and concentrating. It's more about a reminder, oh my gosh, I've read this before and I love how it sounds and I love how it reads. And it's easy for me because I've read it before. It's not new. During this wait, it's stressful. I can't get something new, but I can receive something old that's comforting. Yeah, and Debbie is sharing that her Bible and her scriptures soothe her soul and puts everything in perspective. And that's what we're looking for during the wait, this perspective. Okay, so those are 3 ideas about how to use your wait, how to manage the wait, what you can do during a wait. And again, it could be that you have different strategies for different waits, and that's smart. I like to connect to belief statements because then they help us also focus on what's helpful. Now, it seems odd to create a belief statement about our waits, and I also believe they can be helpful. So I alluded to one when I talked about how in the exam room, while we're waiting for a doctor, we can imagine the doctor giving amazing support and help to another family caregiver and another caree. So we're imagining that, and that gives us comfort. So my belief statement can be, I believe as I wait, others are working hard to take care of myself and my caree. And that can be a belief statement that you create that helps you focus during a wait. If you have a worry about waiting too long for something good to happen, for instance, I think sometimes, especially in a career, we can feel like, oh my gosh, I've been waiting for my big break. Where is it? We can write a belief statement about that. I believe that my wait for my big break gives me an opportunity to perfect my craft or to bring my best work into the world. So as you think of a belief statement, please feel free to share it in the chat room. And to help us, we've got one of our caregiving wheels. And if you've been to other workshops and events that I've presented at, we use these different wheels really to help us focus and spark inspiration, insights. So for instance, if you have a wait for something good, let's say you love a certain holiday, and sometimes it feels like it's hard to wait for the holiday to come, your belief statement about waiting for this great holiday could be, I believe that the wait for the holiday ensures that I also enjoy planning for the holiday. You could create a belief statement about gathering courage as you wait. It could be, I believe that this wait is giving me the time I need to gather my courage so I can put my good work out into the world. You could also create a belief statement around a wait as it relates to your health. I believe when I'm waiting, I can actually work out or exercise or take a walk. You could create a belief statement around the opportunity to play, so to speak, during a wait. So I believe that when my family and I are waiting, we can actually play cards and connect and support each other through a game. You could think about who it is that provides company during a wait. I believe the best company during a difficult wait is my family. Ursula, that is a beautiful belief statement. So I believe, just go back up here. I believe while I'm waiting on medical results that my body is healing. That is beautiful. And Debbie is sharing, I believe that God always has our best interest in mind and lifts us up during our wait and will provide the best care in his time. So these belief statements also can be how we start a wait. So we can create a belief statement about a particular wait. And then it also inspires how we wait. So Ursula, you talked about your body is healing while you wait on medical results. That's your belief statement. And then you can think, okay, how do I help my body heal? And then you've got a strategy around perhaps rest, nutrition, exercise, emotional support. So you're part of that healing process. So if we connect with what we believe, we can be much more intentional about the weight. Ursula is sharing in the chat room what healing means to her. Eat right, exercise, fix my mindset. So there's your strategy around healing. So as you wait for your test results, you're going to focus on your healing, which is eating right, exercising, fixing your mindset. What can be frustrating around the weight is that emptiness. It feels like empty time. It feels like time out of our control. It feels like you don't have what you need. And what we're doing is thinking about, what do I bring into this weight that is about what I need? And oftentimes what we need is assurance that we're going to be okay, that our Curie is going to be okay. And our definition of being okay is going to change depending on the situation. And that's okay too. Yeah, Debbie is sharing, be grateful for where our lives are in the present moment. I'm waiting in this present moment because I am of service to others in my life. Rather than the weight being something we endure, the weight becomes something that gives to us. And it's just focusing on, what do we need during this weight? And again, because there are different weights for us during our caregiving experience, we can bring in different belief statements and different strategies around what we need. Okay, so we're going to close with this abundant photo. I also think that the weights are hard because it feels like we don't have enough. We don't have enough information. We don't have enough support. We don't have enough options. We don't have enough time, which is so ironic because the weight seems to steal our time, but then we think we don't have enough time. So it's this scarcity during the wait that can be difficult for us as well. So I wanted to share a photo where it feels like there's abundance for us, even during a wait. And the abundance can be, as I wait, I can share a good meal with people I love. As I wait, I can receive from nature. As I wait, I can connect to my faith. The idea being that during the wait, when we think, oh my gosh, I don't know, we want to connect to knowing. And having a visualization of abundance can help us with our knowing. So the other strategy you can use during a wait is to focus on your breath. We've done this in other soul breaks, and I find it so helpful to play with this because you can create different words for this breathing exercise depending on your situation. So during a stressful wait, you can breathe in abundance and breathe out scarcity. So the focus on your breath is helpful, and the focus on your words can be comforting. So I'm waiting, I'm worried, I'm stressed. I'm going to breathe in abundance and breathe out scarcity. I'm going to breathe in support. I'm going to breathe out loneliness. I'm going to breathe in nature. I'm going to breathe out stress. Whatever you need, you can breathe it in, and whatever you want to give away, you can breathe out. So you want to give away stress, worries, doubt. You can breathe in faith. You can breathe out doubt. And if you create a ritual around your weights, you could create the ritual of doing this breathing exercise and then moving into whichever strategy is helpful for you. Imagining, creating, doing. And so I'm curious, for those who have joined us today, when you look at this photo, what do you see? Feel free to share in the chat room. Something else that I think about this photo is the beauty of the colors. And during a wait, it seems like it's all black or white. And we can be reminded there are beautiful colors. Yeah, yellow is so bright and beautiful. Renewal, thank you for that. Yeah, I love that, renewal. Boy, that's so important too. We can be renewed at any time, at any point, in any situation. It's also peaceful. We can be at peace. We can be at peace. Yeah, Debbie sees color, light, nature. Oh, and the visualization of friends celebrating a lovely lunch and shared conversations. Boy, isn't that fabulous? Yeah, I love that. Thank you for that. And what you've described is something then that you can create in your head. So you can create this scene of color, light, nature, a beautiful lunch, and a collection of friends sharing and loving and celebrating each other. Okay, that's our soul break today around waiting. And I hope it was helpful for you as you think about, how am I gonna manage these waits? There are ways to manage them. I'd be happy to share the PowerPoint with you guys as a follow-up in email. And Kimmy, I know that you wanted the link to the workshop, the workbook on resilience. I'll send a follow-up email with that as well. And then join us on Caring Our Way. You can register to join us for our soul break. We do a Sunday service on the first Sunday of every month. It's a little similar to this, but a little different. It's 30 minutes. And then I post the archives of these as well on caringourway.com. Okay, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for sharing. It was so great. It was great to connect with you. Okay, thanks so much, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.